Hey there, friends. Before we jump into this super exciting story, I've got a quick question for you. Have you ever met someone who thought they could tell everyone what to do? Maybe it was a kid at school who acted like the boss of recess, or someone in your family who made all the rules. Drop your answer in the comments below. I can't wait to read it. Oh, and if you love stories like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more. Also, tell me where you're watching from today. Are you at home, at school, or maybe somewhere totally cool? Okay, let's get started with the story. Close your eyes for a second and imagine a place called Sunny Hills. It's a super nice neighborhood where kids ride their bikes down the street, laughing and shouting. Dogs run around, wagging their tails like they're saying hi to everyone. Cats nap in sunny spots on porches and birds chirp in the trees. It sounds like the best place ever, doesn't it? That's exactly what I thought when I moved there. My name is Dr. Lily Carter. But when I first got to Sunny Hills, nobody knew that part. To all my new neighbors, I was just the lady with the golden retriever. That's because I had my dog Max with me all the time. Max is the best dog ever. His fur is shiny like gold, and he loves to give big, happy doggy smiles. Everywhere we went, people would wave and say, "Hi, new lady." "Hi, Max." I'd smile back and wave, but I didn't tell them much about myself. Not yet. See, I had a secret. It wasn't a bad secret, like sneaking cookies before dinner. It was a big, exciting secret that nobody in Sunny Hills could have guessed. I wasn't just some regular person who moved into a little house with a blue door. I was someone special, and soon that secret was going to shake things up in this quiet little neighborhood. When I first got to Sunny Hills, I loved it right away. My house was small but cozy, with a tiny garden out front where I could plant flowers. Every morning, I'd take Max for a walk. We'd go down the street, past houses with bright mailboxes and swings in the yards. Kids would run up to pet Max, giggling when he licked their hands. "He's so soft," they'd say. I'd laugh and nod, happy to see them smile. The neighbors were nice too. There was Mrs. Lopez, who always gave me a wave from her porch. She had a fluffy poodle named Bella who liked to prance around like a little princess. Then there was Timmy, a kid with messy hair who loved his hamster Nibbles. He'd tell me all about how Nibbles ran on his wheel every night. Even grumpy Mr. Jenkins, who lived across the street, would nod at me sometimes. He had a big orange cat named Tiger who sat in his window all day, watching the world go by. Everything seemed perfect. But there was one person who made things not so perfect. Her name was Karen, and she was the boss of the HOA. Now you might be wondering, what's an HOA? It's like a group of people who make rules for the neighborhood to keep things neat and tidy. Sounds okay, right? Well, Karen wasn't just any boss. She was the kind of person who loved being in charge a little too much. Karen walked around Sunny Hills with a clipboard in her hand, writing down every little thing she didn't like. If someone's grass was too long, she'd knock on their door and tell them to fix it. If a kid left a toy in the yard, she'd leave a note saying it was against the rules. And she had this look, a glare so mean it could make a grown-up feel like they were in trouble at school. I swear, that glare could scare a grizzly bear right out of the woods. The first time I saw Karen, I was walking Max by the park. She was standing there, pointing at a sign that said "No dogs allowed." Max wasn't even in the park, he was just sniffing a flower by the sidewalk. But Karen marched over, her clipboard flapping, and said, "You keep that dog away from here. Pets make messes and I won't have it." I blinked, surprised. Max wasn't making any mess, he was just being his happy self. I said, "Okay, we're just walking," and kept going. But I could feel her staring at me the whole way. That's when I started to notice something. Karen didn't just dislike Max, she didn't like any pets. I heard her talking to Mrs. Lopez one day saying, "That poodle of yours sheds everywhere, it's a problem." Another time, she told Timmy his hamster was gross and shouldn't be allowed. Even Mr. Jenkins got a note from her saying Tiger's meowing was too loud. Too loud, Tiger barely made a sound. I started to wonder why Karen was so grumpy about animals. Pets made Sunny Hills feel alive. They made people happy. But Karen acted like they were the worst thing ever. I didn't say anything yet, though. I just kept walking Max, fixing up my house and smiling at everyone. I was new and I didn't want to start trouble. Besides, I had my secret and I knew it might come in handy someday. Every day I'd wake up early and take Max out. We'd pass the same houses, see the same people. Mrs. Lopez would tell me about Bella's new trick, like how she could sit pretty for a treat. Timmy would run out with a drawing of Nibbles, proud as could be. Mr. Jenkins would grumble, but I'd catch him sneaking a smile when Max wagged his tail. It was like Sunny Hills was one big family, and the pets were part of it. But Karen, she wasn't part of that family feeling. She'd show up out of nowhere, telling people what they were doing wrong. One day I saw her yelling at a kid for letting his dog chase a ball in his own yard. "That's not allowed," she said, waving her clipboard. The kid looked so sad, I wanted to tell Karen to leave him alone, but I held back. I had a feeling she was planning something bigger and I needed to be ready. I started keeping my eyes open. I noticed how Karen talked to people like she thought she was better than everyone. She'd stand on her porch watching the street like a hawk. If a dog barked, she'd write it down. If a cat crossed her lawn, she'd make a big deal about it. It was like she was looking for reasons to be mad. One morning, I was planting flowers in my garden when Karen walked by. Max was lying in the grass, chewing a stick, happy as ever. Karen stopped and stared. "You know," she said, "pets like that don't belong here. They make everything messy." I looked up, keeping my voice calm. "Max is a good dog," I said. "He doesn't hurt anyone." Karen huffed and walked away, but I could tell she wasn't done. That's when I knew something was coming. Karen wasn't just grumpy, she was up to something. I didn't know what yet, but I could feel it, like when you know a storm about to hit. I wasn't scared, though. I'd dealt with tough things before. My secret gave me a kind of strength, even if nobody else knew it yet. See, back before I moved to Sunny Hills, I wasn't just Lily Carter. I was Dr. Paws, the veterinarian from a TV show called Paws and Hearts. Every week, millions of people watched me help animals, dogs, cats, even a parrot once. I'd fix their boo-boos, teach kids how to care for them, and show everyone how special pets are. The show was a big deal, but I never bragged about it. When I moved to Sunny Hills, I wanted a quiet life, just me and Max. Nobody here knew about Dr. Paws, not Mrs. Lopez, not Timmy, not even Karen. To them, I was just the new lady with the golden retriever. And that was fine for now. But deep down, I knew my secret wouldn't stay secret forever. Sunny Hills was about to find out who I really was, and when they did, things were going to change. Every time I walked Max, I thought about it. I'd look at the houses, the kids, the pets, and I'd feel a little spark inside. This place was special, and I wasn't going to let Karen ruin it. I didn't know how or when, but I was ready to stand up for Sunny Hills. My secret was like a hidden superpower, waiting for the right moment to shine. So, as I tied my shoes each morning and clipped on Max's leash, I smiled to myself. Karen thought she could boss everyone around. She thought pets were a problem, but she didn't know me. She didn't know what I could do. And soon she was going to find out in a way she'd never forget. What do you think happens next? Stick around because this story about to get even wilder. And don't forget to tell me in the comments, have you ever had a secret you kept until just the right time? I bet you've got a good one. It all began at the first HOA meeting I decided to go to. I thought it would be easy, just show up, drink some yucky coffee, and nod my head like I agreed with everything. Oh boy, was I wrong. It was a huge mistake to think it'd be that simple. The meeting room was stuffy with folding chairs and a big table at the front. And there was Karen, the HOA president, standing tall like she owned the whole neighborhood. Karen's voice was sharp, like a teacher scolding a kid for running in the hall. She held her clipboard tight and started listing her rules. No loud music, she said, glaring around. No messy yards, and definitely no pets running loose. When she said that last part, her eyes locked right on me. It felt like she thought I'd brought a whole zoo to Sunny Hills. I was just sitting there with my hands in my lap, but I could feel my cheeks getting warm. I didn't say a word, but inside I was super annoyed. My dog Max is the sweetest pup ever. He's a golden retriever with fluffy fur and big happy eyes. He never barks unless someone knocks on the door, and he always stays close when we go for walks. Max isn't the kind of dog to cause trouble, but Karen looked at me like he was a wild animal. It made no sense. Then Karen said something that made my stomach twist. She stood up straighter, her smirk growing, and announced, "I'm making a new plan. I want to ban all pets in Sunny Hills. They're a big problem, and I've got a petition to have them removed." Removed, that word hit me like a dodgeball to the chest. My heart sank so low I thought it might fall through the floor. Pets weren't just things, they were family. Max was my best friend. I looked around the room, hoping someone else felt the same way. A few neighbors gasped, their eyes wide with shock. Mrs. Lopez, who loved her poodle Bella, clutched her purse tightly. Little Timmy, who adored his hamster Nibbles, frowned like he might cry. But others just stared at their shoes, too scared to say anything. Karen stood there, smirking like she'd already won the fight. I wanted to jump up and yell, "That's not fair." I wanted to tell her how wrong she was. Max didn't deserve this, and neither did Bella, Nibbles, or any of the other pets in Sunny Hills. But something inside me said, "Wait, Lily, not yet." I wasn't just any pet owner. I had a secret, a big one, and it was like a special card I could play when the time was right. I just needed to be patient. Karen kept talking, waving her petition in the air. "Pets make messes," she said. "They bark, they dig, they ruin everything. Sign my paper and we'll make Sunny Hills perfect." A couple of people nodded, but most looked uncomfortable. I could tell they didn't want to fight her. Karen was loud and mean, and nobody wanted to be on her bad side. I bit my lip and stayed quiet, but my mind was racing. After the meeting, I walked home with Max, his leash jingling softly. The air was cool and the streetlights glowed in the dark. Usually walks with Max made me feel calm, but not tonight. I kept thinking about Karen's words. Removed. What did that even mean? Was she going to take Max away? What about Bella and Nibbles and Tiger, Mr. Jenkins' cat? The idea made me feel sick. When I got home, I sat on my couch and hugged Max. He put his head in my lap, looking up at me with his big, trusting eyes. "Don't worry, buddy," I whispered. "I won't let her hurt you." But I knew it wouldn't be easy. Karen wasn't just grumpy, she was determined. And when someone like that gets an idea, they don't stop. The next day I saw Karen in action again. I was watering my flowers when she marched down the street, her clipboard tucked under her arm. She stopped at Mrs. Lopez's house and knocked hard. When Mrs. Lopez opened the door, Karen didn't even say hi. "Your dog sheds too much," she snapped. "Sign my petition to get rid of pets." Mrs. Lopez shook her head, but Karen kept pushing. "It's for the good of Sunny Hills," she said, like she was doing everyone a favor. Later, I heard Karen talking to Timmy's mom. "Hamsters are dirty," she said. "They don't belong here." Timmy was standing nearby, holding his hamster cage, and I saw his lip quiver. My heart hurt for him. Nibbles wasn't dirty, Timmy took great care of him, but Karen didn't care about that. She just wanted her way. Everywhere I went, Karen's voice seemed to follow. She'd complain about dogs barking, cats scratching, even birds chirping too loud. It was like she hated anything that made Sunny Hills feel alive. I started to notice how people acted around her. They'd lower their voices or walk away fast, like they were afraid of getting in trouble. Karen wasn't just making rules, she was making everyone nervous. One afternoon, I was walking Max by the park when I saw Karen putting up a sign. It said, "No pets allowed by order of the HOA." Max wasn't even near the park, he was sniffing a tree on the sidewalk, but Karen glared at us anyway. "Keep that dog under control," she said, pointing at Max like he'd done something wrong. I smiled politely and said, "He's fine, thanks." But inside, I was fuming. That's when I realized this wasn't just about Max. Karen wanted to change everything. She wanted a neighborhood with no wagging tails, no purring cats, no happy kids playing with their pets. She thought she could bully everyone into agreeing with her, but she didn't know me. She didn't know what I was capable of. I started paying closer attention to Karen. I noticed how she'd write things down on her clipboard, like she was keeping a list of every pet in Sunny Hills. I saw her hand out her petition to anyone who'd listen, telling them lies about how pets were bad. "They ruin lawns," she'd say, even though Max never dug a single hole. "They're noisy," she'd complain, even though Bella only yipped when she was excited. The more I watched, the angrier I got, but I also felt stronger. Karen thought she could scare everyone, but I wasn't scared. I had my secret, and it was like a spark inside me, growing brighter every day. I didn't know exactly when I'd use it, but I knew one thing for sure: I wasn't going to let Karen win. As I walked Max home that night, I looked at the houses around me. Lights glowed in windows, and I could hear a dog bark happily in the distance. Sunny Hills was a good place, full of good people and their pets. Karen wanted to take that away, but I wasn't going to let her, not without a fight. The next few weeks in Sunny Hills felt heavier, like a storm was coming. Karen, the HOA president, got pushier every day. No, she wasn't just grumpy anymore, she was loud and bossy, like a kid who always had to win at games. She'd march up to people's houses, banging on doors with her knuckles, her clipboard in one hand and a pen in the other. "Sign my petition," she'd say, waving a piece of paper covered in names. "Pets are bad news." I watched her from my porch one morning, my dog Max lying by my feet. Karen was at Mrs. Lopez's house, yelling so loud I could hear every word. "Pets spread germs," she shouted. "They make everyone sick." Then she went to Timmy's house and told his mom, "Hamsters are gross, they ruin everything." I even heard her tell Mr. Jenkins his cat, Tiger, would be better off gone. That made my tummy feel tight and hot, like I'd eaten too much spicy food. I was so mad, but I didn't yell or stomp. I stayed calm, like when you're saving your energy for a big race. I started noticing things about Karen. She never checked if what she said was true. She'd make stuff up, like saying dogs broke fences or cats scratched cars. But Max never broke anything and Tiger just slept in the sun all day. Karen didn't care about facts, she just wanted everyone to do what she said. If someone tried to argue, she'd talk louder or give them her meanest glare. It was like she thought she was the queen of Sunny Hills. Even though I was upset, I kept doing my usual stuff. Every morning, I'd clip Max's leash on and take him for a walk. His golden fur would shine in the sun and he'd wag his tail at every kid we passed. I'd smile and wave at my neighbors, but I didn't tell them my secret. Not yet. Instead, I listened to what they said and it made me like Sunny Hills even more. One day I stopped to talk to Mrs. Lopez. She was brushing her poodle Bella on her porch. Bella's fluffy fur bounced as she wagged her little tail. "Bella makes me feel safe," Mrs. Lopez told me, her voice soft. "When my husband's at work, she's my buddy. She barks if strangers come too close." I nodded, petting Bella's head. I could see why she loved her dog so much. Another time, I ran into Timmy outside his house. He was holding a tiny cage with his hamster Nibbles inside. "Nibbles is my best friend," he said, his eyes big and serious. "I tell him everything and he never gets mad. He just runs on his wheel and makes me laugh." I smiled, watching Nibbles nibble on a carrot. Timmy wasn't lying. Nibbles was special to him, like Max was to me. Even grumpy Mr. Jenkins opened up one day. I was walking by his house when he called me over. His cat, Tiger, was curled up in his lap. "Tiger's old," he said, scratching the cat's ears. "But he's been with me forever, keeps me company." I could tell he didn't want anyone to know he liked Tiger so much, but I saw the way he smiled. Pets weren't just animals in Sunny Hills, they were family. Karen didn't understand that. She didn't even try to. All she cared about was getting her way, and she was getting worse. One afternoon, I was raking leaves in my yard when I saw her stapling papers to every mailbox on the street. I waited until she was gone, then walked over to see what they were. My hands shook as I pulled one off. It was a flyer and it said, "Pet-free Sunny Hills, vote yes to ban pets." There was a date at the bottom, a day when everyone would vote on her plan. My heart beat fast, like I'd just run a race. The vote was only a week away. Time was slipping through my fingers like sand at the beach. I stuffed the flyer in my pocket and looked at Max, who was chewing a stick nearby. "We can't let her win," I whispered to him. He tilted his head like he understood. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what yet. Karen's plan was mean, but it was also wrong. Pets didn't hurt Sunny Hills, they made it better. I needed to show everyone that, and I needed proof that Karen's ideas wouldn't just fail, they'd blow up in her face like a water balloon. My secret was part of that proof, but I had to be smart about it. So I started watching Karen even closer. I noticed how she'd twist people's words. Like when Mrs. Lopez said Bella only barked at squirrels, Karen told everyone Bella was out of control. Or when Timmy's mom said Nibbles stayed in his cage, Karen said hamsters were dirty pests. She was making stuff up to scare people into signing her petition. I also saw how she acted when nobody was looking. One day I was walking Max near the park when I caught her kicking a tennis ball some kid's dog had left behind. She didn't just nudge it, she kicked it hard like she hated it. Another time I saw her rip down a poster Timmy had made that said, "I love my hamster." She crumpled it up and threw it in the trash. It made me so mad, but it also made me think. Karen wasn't just bossy, she was sneaky. While all this was happening, I kept being my quiet self. I'd walk Max, water my flowers, and chat with neighbors. Nobody knew I was planning anything. Nobody knew I had a secret that could change everything. But every time I saw one of Karen's flyers or heard her yelling, that secret felt bigger inside me, like a balloon ready to pop. I started writing things down, too, not on a clipboard like Karen, but in a little notebook I kept in my pocket. I wrote about Bella making Mrs. Lopez feel safe. I wrote about Timmy and Nibbles being best friends. I wrote about Tiger keeping Mr. Jenkins company. And I wrote about Max, how he made me smile every day no matter what. Those notes weren't just words. They were like pieces of a puzzle, and I was putting them together to stop Karen. One night, I sat on my couch with Max curled up next to me. I looked at my notebook and the flyer I'd taken from the mailbox. The vote was getting closer, and Karen